Yes, yes, yes. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of the Lion's Den with Seth. Hopefully, everything has been good with you, yours, and your family. If this is your first time tuning in, what we do is we focus on everything with leadership, growth, development, call to action from the household to out in the community. And we are definitely ready to have a great discussion. What's going on, Herm? How you feeling, bro? Uh-oh. Now you got
I'm good, man.
You good?
I'm good.
How was your weekend?
Man, I did something that I've never done before, and it's crazy because it's literally 3 hours away from where I grew up.
All right, what's that?
Went to the Derby.
Good.
And went to the Derby, opening night of Kentucky Derby. Dressed up, Great Gatsby wear, stuff like that. You know, me and my wife.
Okay.
And it was quite the experience, man. You know, bet on a horse, won. You know, and then I went to go bet again. I was like, nah, I want to leave while I'm up.
Right.
And good thing because the horse that I was going to bet on lost.
There you go. You didn't get the gambling bug.
Yeah, but it was. I didn't realize, man, Louisville is a pretty cool city, man. Remind me of a baby St. Louis.
A baby St. Louis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, I can dig that.
How about your weekend, man? What you get into?
Man, I got into a whole bunch of nothing.
Sometimes you need those kind of weekends, though.
Bro, I needed it, man. So my birthday was a couple of weeks ago, so really took some time to decompress, you know what I mean, to unplug. And so I think that I got a better appreciation for just relaxing. You get what I mean? I'm getting up there, bro. 45. Shit. You get what I'm saying? That like it hits different. You know what I mean? But
you old as hell, man.
Yeah, I know. And guess what? Yours in a couple of months. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, man, what you think about this conversation, bro? You ready for this?
Man, I remember a couple of years back when we had this conversation and we schooled all the women on the problem with them, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
When we let them know, hey, this is what you guys need to work on. And what I was hoping would happen, that women would sit down and take notes, write down everything that we were saying, so it better their lives.
Right.
Come to find out, there's two young ladies that they have a different point of view, and they wanted to come on and talk about it.
Hey, the audacity! No, I'm joking.
Man, how crazy! You know what I mean?
Because I mean, seriously, if you think about it, we put so much time, resources, and energy into saving all of humanity, right? By explaining what the problems of the other side of our genders could that had, and for some reason they didn't take heed.
They didn't take it. Now it's time for. I guess it's time for us to get schooled now.
Maybe that's what it is. That's what it is.
Let's break them wrong.
Hey, look, we make sure we had the volume down real low. Now I'm joking, but look, everybody, real talk. Honestly, it is an honor. Just giving some people a background, just very quickly, y'all. We did have this conversation back in 2021, and so if you're a listener and constant supporter of ours, you know that we were really looking for this type of energy, so to speak, not to demonize, not to point blame, but to really understand. And that's what we're doing now.
Learn and grow.
That's seriously,
because honestly, in our first show, you know what I'm saying, we talking to an echo chamber, you know what I'm saying, there's a bunch of men.
That's right.
I mean, we speaking from our perspective, but it would be nice to hear some of the women's, some of the ladies rebut, and maybe we walk away with something.
Yeah. I mean, there's a percentage. That's
it's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
You know what I mean? No, let's stop for this.
I know, because they're going to get this up. Everybody, y'all, what's a nice warm welcome for Miss J and Angel in the building. Yeah, y'all. So welcome, ladies, to the Lion's Den. How y'all feeling?
I'm all good. Thank you for being here. Thank you for inviting me as well to present the other side.
The other side. Okay, so we'll start with you, Miss J. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, everyone. I'm Jay. I use the she series of pronouns. I am an HR consultant by day and at all times a public theologian, an organizer, an advocate, an activist, a finer woman, of course, and a certified community auntie.
All right.
Finer woman.
Find a woman. Find a woman. For those of you that don't know, you see in the back. All right. And listen, you might have to put in the chat what the theologian means for Herm, because he might have lost.
Yeah, you know I don't read, man.
It's all good. It's all good. Don't worry about it. We ain't gonna take up time. And up to you, next to you, Miss Angel. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on. Really simple. I am an educator and disruptor. So I just float about flipping tables. Flipping tables and teaching people like Herm how to read.
Oh my goodness. That's tough.
My favorite t-shirt says first we turn tassels and then we turn tables.
Good.
Yes. Yes. That is my life.
Listen, and I'm sad that we're still out here undoing the work of George Bush and these children that should have been left behind.
Oh wow! Hey, you know what, y'all?
Now, that's another show that we definitely could do.
Hey, check this out. Normally, by this time we say, "Hey, it should be a part 2," but we ain't even got started with this. So again, ladies, we want to welcome y'all on, and so let's start it off by like this. Angel, what was your perspective of the problem with women when you saw the podcast?
I thought it was terribly superficial.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just superficial, and I think part of that is just there were no women represented in the conversation. So to the point you were making earlier, it was just sort of this echo chamber of agreement, right? And just off, still great, still a good show, but just the perspective is a little, superficial. But that's why we're here to help. We gonna help y'all. We don't, because I'm an educator.
Hey,
and so is Jay. And we're gonna teach y'all to read. We're here to teach you to read.
All right. So Jay, what is your desire to for this podcast? What do you hope to get from this?
I think as far as what I'm hoping to get, I think it's really having an avenue or an arena to present both sides and have a educated conversation that allows both sides to reflect. It's very easy to say, oh, this is the problem with another person or another gender or another sex when they're not represented or able to have that voice. So I'm looking forward to us having this arena here in the Lion's Den, if you will, to
and we will
lions.
Yes, lioness. Absolutely.
But before we go, right? Just real quick, because the first show, right? Men are the one that deal with women. You know what I mean? And that show, we're the ones that we're just speaking about things from our perspective of how, you know what I'm saying, dealing with women, what we see in the social media sphere and all that stuff. So I think sometimes it is important for sometimes you just have the voices of just men. And sometimes the voices of just women to talk about, hey, what's the issues with men? I would love to see a show of women. We see it all the time. What's the problem with men, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, sometimes you got to have that where it's just uninterrupted men talking about their issues and what they have seen and what they have experienced.
I think, yes, there is certainly a opportunity, a space. It certainly should be a time and a place for men to commune with other men and leave what's the problem with women out of it. Maybe talk about what's our problem with the way that we interact with women, but don't say, oh, this is the problem with women without having women in the room to represent themselves and rebut.
But don't women do the same thing?
Every day.
I can't speak for all women. I can speak for Jay.
Now the good thing is the good thing is about that, it was an opportunity to get that response. If you think about it, because it was in the title. But however, I know that you didn't watch it. So ultimately what you just said, that was the real meat and potatoes out on it, right? So the conversation itself was it stirred some things, but it was necessary, right? Because it created that atmosphere of having the conversation. So let's see. Let's start off with you, ladies. Do you have a question that you would like to kick us off with as far as helping us to understand y'all better?
It's been a couple of years since you all did the last episode on women.
Yes.
So what has anything changed on your perspective on what's wrong with women since then?
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead. What you think, Herman? That's a good question.
For me, yeah, because I do a lot of more. I'm sorry, I do more self-reflection. I try to. One thing that I know that I need to work on about myself, especially dealing with women, is about emotional intelligence, right? You know what I'm saying? And listen more instead of reacting more. You get what I mean? Instead of thinking everything is an attack on me, try to take a pause back and try to listen to what my woman is saying. Sometimes I'm gonna speak for my situation. My wife is a very educated. She's like nothing I've ever dealt with before. She's very educated, very strong personality, right? So sometimes, I'll get the feeling like, hey, man, is she trying to direct me? When really she is being my true helpmate that I've never really had before. You get what I'm saying? So sometimes I think men need to understand what a helpmate really looks like. And that's something that I got to learn on a constant basis because I'm so used to being the person that dominates everything. And I got a woman that's not going for that. You know what I mean? She in her own right leads herself.
Do you think that you're not supposed to take direction from your wife or helpmeet?
This is something that I've never experienced before. You know what I'm saying?
That doesn't answer the question.
Hold on, but before I can only go through my experience. Before I've had women that never really looked to give me any kind of direction. You get what I'm saying? So it wasn't like so it was just a new experience for me. So it's like, man, okay. And part of the reason why I married her, it's like, man, you know what I mean? I've never met like a force like this. You know what I'm saying? That leveled me up in all ways. And that's what she really did. And so that's what I've learned. That's what I've continued to learn. And my mindset changed. It's not that I got to be the alpha. Yes, I do believe that I lead the home, right? But also my wife plays a significant role in her own leadership through her way. That makes sense.
And I think what I've learned since then was how important it is to listen to how I communicate based off of what I want individuals to understand, and that we communicate differently, and everything is there. So it's not necessarily about the intentions; it's about the end result. If an individual can feel either devalued or belittled by whatever comes out of my mouth when my intent is to help, then maybe there's some things that I can do to to change that. Right. And so I had to learn that my way is not always the right way. Look, I may even see the solution, but how do I incorporate an individual by utilizing compassion instead of force? So that was some things that I've learned, since then, since the conversation, and being open to learn something new. But no, that was a great question. Great question. So thank you, Angel, for kicking it off. So now we talked about these a little bit in the back. And so here's something for all of us. And I would like you, ladies and the audience too, feel free, chime in, whatever y'all think about this. This is wide open. Okay. So here we go. So do you think men and women define emotional support differently? And how can we align our understandings to better support each other? Who want to touch on that?
I'll jump in. Okay. With it. Yeah, or Angie, you want to go?
No, I have lots to say, but I'll just kick it off with a little bit, and then I want you to take it because I'm gonna then feed off you. Absolutely, I think that men and women see it differently. Men just kind of started sitting on a lady's couch, right, not too long ago, and women have been, I think, doing so a while longer. So there's just that difference in how long generally men and women have been doing that, like mental emotional work. And then I also think the history, right? Women have been more free in exploring emotion, and men have not. So I just think there are very real stark differences.
Jay, go ahead.
Okay. I'll add to that. I think that some of the difference is men in general are just now within recent history being required to be emotionally intelligent. Like there is no longer the option to move about the world and move about the cabin, if you will, in plain speak. And for lack of other terminology, to wild out, just spit out whatever their emotion is, whatever it is, and not have to think about their impact of what they're saying, regardless of the intent.
Can we press pause there, Jay? Because I'm going to poke a little bit.
Okay.
In what ways have things changed for men that they can't move about the cabin anymore? Because
they still can. I think that women now are essentially raising the bar and making a requirement of some level of emotional intelligence. It's also socially now more acceptable for men to seek and retain psychological care, emotional care, therapy, if you will. It's just now becoming more apparent. I mean, there are still parents. I talk about my own parents. Like when I say, hey, yes, I do have a therapist. Like, what you need to go to therapy for? What do you mean? I think everybody should have a therapist. As a public theologian and working with clergy, there are still many clergy members who don't believe that they should also have a therapist and someone else who provides wide counsel, right? And so within that, I think within this current time and state, is just now becoming more socially acceptable to seek therapy, to seek additional counsel, to seek talk therapy, behavior-based therapy, if you will, and also address traumas that may have occurred in life, or readdress those things that they have learned and figure out, like, you know what, this actually doesn't work well for how I want to move in the world.
So, and I appreciate that. So now the second part of the question, though, is how can we align our understanding to better support each other? Because so the conversation, or excuse me, the answers can be polarizing, because it's not a men and women.
It's not an either or, yeah.
It's a all, right? So I think to your point, yes, it has been more socialized, but men have had opportunities, and still, right, it's more underground. It has been more underground, and now it's more popularized, but to commune together, right? It's just not on the forefront. But now, again, how can we get to the point of understanding that we communicate differently, right? And our emotions are different, but they are still a part of the overall, goal. What you think, Herm?
I think a big part of it is acknowledging intent versus impact, and I'll leave that for Big Herm to go ahead and
go ahead, Herm.
I want to get into that part where we communicate differently when it comes to emotions, right?
Right.
It's been widely believed that women react through emotions and men are more logic based. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so what I want to get into is, like, I don't necessarily believe that's true. I think men are supposed to be more logic based, but I think today we have a bunch of over emotional young men out there that are just out of control with it. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to talk about. Y'all. I look like y'all don't agree with me.
Well.
And
I mean, I'm gonna go back and
which is fair, but go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead. Amy.
I'm just gonna address the second part of the question. I think that just in general, to get us understanding each other better, speaking to each other better, communicating better, relating better, we have to abandon the trauma Olympics. There's this conversation that's been going on for quite some time now about who has it harder, right? Who has it the worst, and it just is a go nowhere conversation, right? And so absolutely. I think it gets in the way of us having compassion. And I'm a Black woman, so I'm going to speak from the perspective of a Black woman. In the Black community, we have to be radical in just about everything we do to support each other, because the things we've experienced as a people have been radically destructive. So we have to love more radically, be more radical in our compassion and our empathy and our communication, and that we have to lay ourselves down in a way that I think people struggle with. Right, the trauma Olympics is a real thing.
I agree, and I do believe that being radical is important. I also believe being rational is important as well, right? Because individuals can come into a relationship not being able to hold themselves accountable and look back and see their own, their life experiences and how it can be perpetuated in their sons or daughters, right? So you can be radical as far as wanting to change some things, but be honest and say, damn it, now I need to think about this. Why do I think this way? Maybe this is affecting not only my emotional bandwidth, but how I'm communicating to someone that has their own set of issues, right? So are we able to have that conversation to say, hey, I'm starting right here, but this is what I'm willing to do for him or her. And when I mean him or her, I mean my son or my daughter, because we come from our different lineage of mess. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. But I also think that we have to approach it outside of the context of a romantic relationship or just dealing with the men and women that we love and we care about. I think that it has to start with just the woman you see on the street or walking down the sidewalk having empathy and compassion for all women, not just the ones you love. I think that's the launch pad for seeing differently and communicating differently and connecting differently. And it's the same for women, right? Women have to do that for men also.
So here, let me answer this. Shout out to Miss Erica. So she says nowadays men can't just have PICK and money, right?
Come on, Erica.
How can you add to my mental stability? Can you challenge me? Can you hold a decent adult conversation? The question is, can you accept it?
That ain't true though.
Wait, well, I know it's not.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna go into the false.
See, that
is not true.
No, but look,
so once again, going back to what Angel said, we're not going to get into the Trump policies. We're not going to get into
we're not doing that. No. That's why I didn't even touch it. But what I am going to touch very quickly, and we can do this all, is how can we communicate to, are we even accepting of a person that wants more than just that? Or are we prepared? See, some individuals want what they can't even capture. For example, how would we want, let's say, X amount of millions of dollars? We think we want millions of dollars, but do you know how to manage it? Can you manage yourself dealing with a person that expects more from you? Requires.
So I think relating money to managing someone's emotion and their emotional requirements is, I don't think that's a good idea. Managing money and managing emotions are two different things. Do you have to have the capacity to manage things well? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But going to what Erica is saying here, yes, it is absolutely required for people, for not just men, but also women. And for those who are same gender loving, for their partners to be able to have these adult conversations, to have this stability, to come to them as a fully formed whole adult who can have a real conversation with them. Yeah, I don't need sex. Like I can do that myself. Like there's an entire industry made on sex toys. Right. I can do it myself, right? Yeah. So I don't need someone else to do that. What I do need is partnership and companionship. And so with that, learning how to first listen and not just listen to respond, but listening to understand, I think is the first step in being able to communicate better with not just other women or other men, but across the spectrum and across the board.
I'm gonna throw myself under the bus a little bit.
Hold on. One second. So when Miss Erica, how you doing, Erica, says that men just can't have that, that's not true. I'm gonna break it down why it's not true. If that wasn't true, all these NBA players and NFL players and actors wouldn't be so coveted. You don't know nothing about them. You just know they got money. You know what I mean? That's all they know. You know what I'm saying? And women still are trying to find ways to get pregnant by them. So that's all I'm saying is that is not true.
I don't think that it's the access to the money that they want. They want the money. It's not the money itself. They want the access to the things that the money affords.
Of course.
So all I'm saying is,
how many women is that?
There's a lot of women. It's a lot,
I don't
it's a
want
lot.
that.
It's a lot of
Significant
women.
enough for that to be like, how many women is that?
It's a lot of women. You know what I
Listen,
mean?
it's
A
more
lot.
than you,
That
look,
feels strong.
no, look,
Yeah.
it's more than you think because you're not that way, and I understand that.
Yeah,
It is
but it's a lot
more
of
than you
women.
think.
You know
For
what I'm saying?
real.
They covet dudes with they feel they have money. They have money and power. You know what I'm saying? They covet. Those men are never in short supply of women. Ever.
Have you ever heard the term that you not? It's so many other things. It's like it's not you not sad or you not ugly or you not whatever. You poor or you're broke.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm not like you're not sad. You broke.
That's right.
You're not ugly. You broke. You're not whatever.
Absolutely.
You broke. And so once again, it's not that they're coveting the money, they're coveting the access that the money provides.
And that's what I'm saying.
I
agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with it's not the man,
it.
but if the man has money, I'm not speaking for Erica.
So
you know what I'm
here's
saying?
the thing:
But I'm just
are
saying,
they coveting? And so now I'm a dabble into something else that goes to both genders. Are they coveting the money? Or are they coveting the power of being adjacent to white supremacy?
Pick up your edges.
No, I think it's
on the lace front.
I don't even think it's that serious or that deep. Honestly, so once you get the money or when individuals have access to money, you will see who they truly are. So I don't think it has anything to do with that, because the way a person is in the micro is who they are in the macro, and the money only perpetuates that. Seriously, I don't think it's that. No, I personally don't.
I think it can be that, but I think that that's a depth that is a little bit different than what we're doing here.
Yeah,
but I do think
so.
that it is related. I do agree with that statement. But also, I'm just going to go back to how many women this is a very specific. I don't think that this is a lot of women,
covet women,
even most women. I mean, again, just
are they running after looking for broke dudes?
Fruit.
Are they running around looking for broke dudes?
Are men running around looking for
broke women?
Yes, absolutely.
Why do you want a broke woman?
Yeah, if they got a lot of men, if they got a body, you know what I'm saying? If they nice looking, you know what I'm saying? That's part of it. That's part of it.
Wait. Now look.
All right, I'm just saying that's part of it. Okay. Look what happened to Shannon Sharp with a 19-year-old.
All right.
Buzzer. Thank you for that buzzer, because Shannon Sharp is somebody 19 is a different
Wait. Before we get too deep, here's the level set. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome y'all for tuning in. Okay, right on. All right, we're here on the Lions Den. We're talking about understanding each other. All right, and so Erica, okay, there we go. So that would take them so far. Absolutely. Right. We're having a conversation seriously about perspectives and how we can bring it back. Okay, how we can bring it back. Now, the goal is not to generalize women, not to generalize men, but to be able to have a conversation as why we think certain things are that way. That's really it. And so for those of you that's tuning in, hit the share button. Let us know where you listening at and enjoy the conversation. So Miss J, you were saying something after I hit that. You want to go ahead and proceed with that? I think you muted. You muted yourself.
I don't forgot. So charges of being over 40. Whatever I was saying,
that's it.
I got a question.
Yeah, what was I saying?
Go ahead. I got a question. Get back into the topic, right?
Yeah.
When we talk about the problem with the problem between the disconnect between men and women, I put it that way. A lot of times men feel like they are not emotionally protected by their woman. Now, I'm just generalizing. Have y'all heard that before? And if you did, what is your response to that?
So that's a two-part question. Have you heard it before? And what is your response?
So I'll dive in as someone who has experienced relationships on both spectrums of the gender. I have heard that before, but not likely. That typically comes from a place of a partner who is emotionally immature and who is also immature in their relationship. When you are building a true partnership with someone, when you're building that relationship with someone, whatever they give you is sacred, whether you are on good terms or bad terms. Whatever they provide to you, whenever they disclose to you, if someone is being emotionally open, vulnerable, what have you with you, and then for you to take that and ball it up and throw it back at them, that is that person being emotionally immature. That is that person being emotionally out of pocket, or even spiritually out of pocket, or in that relationship out of pocket. Like, they are not being a good partner. And that goes not even just for someone who's married, but even when you're dating or you're in a relationship or a situationship or what have you. For you to take what someone gives you in a moment of vulnerability and throw it back at them speaks ill of them, not on the person that shared with them. So I will agree, like, yes, there needs to be an address towards people who take what people give them and throw it back at them. And they need to reflect on themselves and figure out, like, what was your intent to throw this back at them? Like, why are you trying to harm that person in that particular manner?
All right.
I don't think that there's something that's just wrong with men or just wrong with women. That's a particular person, and they need to go in, like we were talking about earlier. They need to go sit on the couch and figure out what's wrong with them on the inside.
Okay, Angel, what'd you think?
Oh,
Have you
okay.
heard that before? And what do you think
I
about it?
have heard that, and I do agree that that's a thing.
Okay.
I was her. Once upon a time, I was a little toxic. And it was because I was in a situation, I was in a relationship where I did not feel protected, I did not feel safe, and I did not know how to communicate clearly, and I wasn't prepared for the end result of the conversation, right? So in response to how I felt I was being treated, I told that man that's why his mama abandoned him. And it was a terrible, I did say that. I said it. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Now, to be fair,
no, you
I'm
can't.
I'm 35. Wait, no, I'm
Okay.
35. I'm 35 now. This was 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's a very long time ago. I have since, sat on the ladies' couch a lot. But yeah, I do. I think that I know. I think that that happens when I know it's super crazy. I think, but I think that happens a lot when there are safety issues, whether that be emotional, mental, physical, whatever. And there's just general mistrust. And from my perspective, when I found myself behaving that way, looking back on it, I should have never been in those relationships to begin with. Right? It was unhealthy to begin with. But now, I think that when women find voice, and I think that when we sit on the ladies' couch, and I think that when we, take our time and ask the right questions early, and do the right amount of soul searching when we meet somebody early, then we can avoid those extreme emotional reactions. We can be trusted to.
Yeah, I agree.
Stuff.
And look, shout out to Kenrick. He says, what answers do we come up with when we ask ourselves self-exploration why it's so important to us to see it the way we choose to see it? That's a great question. All right. And who else we have here? Oh, what is you, right?
That's me.
Right,
sometimes I drop it in the chat. I'm like,
you just drop it in the chat. Okay, got it. All right. Well, look, this is some real good discussion, y'all. And again, please chime in. Let us know what you think about this. Let us know what questions that you have. Now, here's something else. Here's a good question. What are some common misunderstandings or assumptions you've noticed in interactions between men and women, and how can we address them the right way?
I think there's always going to be, I think there has historically been a power struggle, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in friend relationships or intimate relationships. There's a power struggle with people who don't understand that partnership is the path forward into a healthy relationship. I don't think that there has to be that push and pull all the time. I liken it to something the lady that told me, like I sit on the lady couch, what she told me is that in a true partnership, think of it as piloting a plane. Both partners are capable, both partners are competent, but somebody has first seat and somebody is the co-pilot who is making sure that the pilot is straight. They got all they need. They don't need water. They might need to relieve them if they need a bathroom break, what have you. And it's not to say that either one of them is incompetent. It's not to say that there needs to be a power struggle, but that each one is equally able to function as a whole adult in a relationship.
Okay.
Each one is able to be fully vulnerable. Each one is able to fully relate to one another. And I think when a relationship gets to that point of understanding the need of pilot versus co-pilot, then that's when those emotional struggles, that's when that need for wondering if you can be emotionally vulnerable with somebody go away. But until that point, that's when you have those misalignments in communication. That's when you have those folks who are like, oh, I can't be vulnerable with this person. Oh, I can't talk to them. Oh, you have all those miscommunications and missteps when the impact misses the intent.
Understand. What you got, Angel?
I just think openness early, right? Openness very early and honesty very early that help a lot. And also, for a lot of folks, society has created this narrative where that has people thinking that a relationship has to be like their goal, right? It's their North Star. I gotta be partnered with somebody, when the reality is I don't think many of us spend enough time single doing that individual work. And so I think that's so important, right? And a person doesn't have to come into a relationship as this perfect being, but I do think some ability to sit and be open very early about where folks are is really, really important. I think that's foundational.
I think it is important to be valuable in a
relationship. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that, Jay?
I was just saying, I was agreeing with Angel. I think it is important to be and remain malleable in a relationship as you grow and learn that person. My cousin and I were talking many years ago, and was like, you get the representative for their first 90 to 180 days of a relationship with somebody, right? Like you get their representative, you get the perfect person. They are, yes, baby, no, baby, oh, whatever you need. And then that facade fades away, right? After a time. I think when you go into a relationship emotionally and mentally malleable, and you're willing to learn from that person, you're willing to co-create what you want going forward, you eliminate a lot of those missteps. You eliminate a lot of that miscommunication and that angst. And as Angel brought up before, you miss the trauma Olympics because you address the trauma head on.
So that's the deal. Now, so to your point, and I believe that that's absolutely true. However, an individual can't miss something that they haven't necessarily dealt with themselves. So that's why I do agree that it's important for us not necessarily to be single just for the sake of being single, but understanding you, because there's times individuals get into a relationship and they're learning more about themselves while they are sabotaging the relationship because a person is trying to show them, hey, you out of line. Do you know that? And then we don't do that work until after the relationship at times. You get what I'm saying? So I think it's so important before we incorporate a person into our functioning chaos to really understand, hey, I'm not coming from a functioning relationship. I cannot tell you what a functioning relationship look like. So how dare I tell you what you're supposed to do when I haven't seen it for myself?
I also think it's important for people to get away from the ideations and the concepts that each relationship is supposed to lead to marriage, or each relationship is supposed to lead to a long-term relationship. There is a terminology called people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and that it requires innate discernment to understand and see, oh, this person's in my life for a reason. This person's in my life for a season. This person is in my life for a lifetime. And then being able to moderate how they interact with that person, right? So if you're in a relationship with somebody and you've discerned, you know what, there's a reason and I need to learn this, then learn that reason and then move on without the bitterness. Like,
yeah, no, that makes sense.
Right.
What you think, Herb?
Man, I love that.
Welcome back.
Technical difficulties over here.
In the back. What you think, though?
I don't know what was going on. I think that when Angel talked about people taking time off and just being single for a little bit, man, I think that I did that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the most valuable things that I've done, because now you really get a chance to get to know you. without
right.
a whole bunch of distractions. You know what I mean? And why certain things keep happening to you over and over and over again. You know, so I appreciate you saying that, you know what I mean? Because I think that's important for people, because there's people that jump into relationship after relationship after relationship. Give yourself a break, give yourself a time to breathe so you can figure out why the same things keep happening to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're not taking accountability for what might be broken in you to why these things keep happening. You know what I mean? So take time. But one question I had, when we talk about communication and what the breakdown is, what role do you believe social media has played in this? We've talked about everything from Cheesecake Factory to a whole bunch of BS that really ain't important. You know what I mean? And I feel like that all that does is put men and women at odds with each other and create. And to be honest with you, I only really see it within the Black community. You know what I mean? That we're the ones fighting over Cheesecake Factory. You know what I mean? I don't see nobody else doing that crap. You know what I mean? Like, why is that a topic?
And look, maybe it's by proximity too. I mean, do we really have a reason to listen to other races? And will we even understand? Because if you think about it, we have our own plight. Not to take away from what you're saying, but we have our.
I mean, I just don't see it within them. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just see us arguing over stupid stuff. What y'all think?
You see us because it's the echo chamber.
All right,
well,
Erica.
Who are you around?
I'm not Erica. Angel, go ahead, and then I'll get you in.
No, I was just gonna say, dang, Jay, I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay. I think
social
other people
media.
do it. I think other people do it. But I think that, like, for me at least, I'm Black, right? I'm a Black woman, so it matters to me more what we're doing in our community than somebody who has a different lived experience and will continue to have a different lived experience than me, right? And so I think that's one thing. Second, I'm never gonna forgive Black people over the way they acted about that chicken sandwich from at Popeyes. And I think the third thing is
I'm still mad at that, and I'm still mad at the
it was ridiculous
about patty pies.
It was ridiculous.
Right, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, for real though. I think
idiot.
I think if we look at the condition of Black folks are uniquely positioned in our society, and we obviously have very successful, intelligent, like, you know, super dope Black folks. But just as a people generally, right, we've seen a lot of oppression, and I think social media has provided a space for folks to create an alternate reality. And it's dangerous. I think social media, for the good that it has done, right? Because it does connect people and give folks opportunities. But I think that it's a space where folks can be delusional and talk crazy to each other and create this false reality. And I think we've seen a lot of that. I saw something a couple of years ago when I was on Instagram that folks were going into like Home Depot and taking pictures with the preset like kitchens and stuff, you know how they have it set up, and posting it as though it was that. Think about how delusional you have to be. I don't know about y'all, but I'm busy.
It was posting it like it was what, their house?
Their house. Like, yeah, like that, right?
Yeah.
Think
People
about how
rent out
delusional
houses to do whole social media campaigns. Like, that's the thing.
And this isn't shots. I'm trying not to take shots, but that's a level of delusion that has become so common. I am busy. I can't see myself waking up on a Saturday morning, getting dressed, going to Home Depot, getting in this mock kitchen. Like, that's a lot, right?
They're not doing that on Saturday morning, by the way. That's like a Tuesday.
Because they ain't got no damn job. But go ahead. What you was gonna say, Jay? Go ahead.
I think I was saying, as it relates to social media, absolutely, Angel's correct. It has created a place and an allowance for delusion. It's also eliminated privacy and true community, right? Because now when you put something on social media, you're searching or yearning for that attention. of others. It's not, social media was first started to like, oh, let me keep up with my person because I haven't talked to them all the time. I haven't talked to my friend every day, so let me share this with them. And it has evolved, or maybe devolved, if you will, away from that, right? It's now become this place where you're trying to keep up with unattainable goals. You're trying to keep up with something that is unrealistic. And so the way that that plays into communication and community within Black folks specifically, because I'm Black, I identify as Black, I'm a Black woman, I'm a Black queer woman, so I can only speak from my own experiences, is when you're looking at social media, we are, in an essence, and going back to that white supremacy and white adjacency, pressured to create this picture perfect montage or ideations of what our life is, even though everything is falling apart. And so how that relates to communication is, let's talk about the rise and fall of the Instagram model, right? Like, people are not modeling, but now they're on Instagram and they're modeling all these brands. And so they have what appears to be an adjacency or an access to this lifestyle. And then everyday or ordinary people are now yearning or searching for this, but totally overlooking that there's only space for 5 of these people. And it's 5,000 of y'all trying to get into these 5 slots. Where's the reality in that?
I mean, hell, it's like that with the NBA. You get what I'm saying? It's the same thing with individuals. I think not necessarily understanding how important it is to differentiate between social media and true social not necessarily social reality, social media, but social connectivity. Real talk, right? Because the individuals that you connect with, chances are they're not doing the things of which you're spending majority of your time watching. You get what I'm saying? But how does that affect our communication? I believe it's because I don't think individuals are realistic about where they currently are. Meaning, are you ready to have a transparent conversation of as far as growth, if that level of delusion, to Angel's point, is so far above where you currently are, you can't even grasp the fact that, hey, you're struggling.
Are you talking about men or women or both?
I'm talking about everybody. No, I'm talking about everybody. I'm not no.
Yes.
No. So I'm talking about everybody. Now, the way we do it is differently just by virtue of our hormones. You understand? That is different. How we do that and how we perpetuate that can be different. But ultimately, in my opinion, it's a realm of delusion. What you think, Herm?
I'm still having technical difficulties. Can y'all hear me right?
Yeah, we can hear you good. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I think what social media did, man, was much harm. You know what I'm saying? Because I do agree that it creates a level of delusion on all aspects. You know what I'm saying? Not just your way of life. You know what I'm saying? The way we look at things socially is also been modified because of what social media continuously puts in front of your face. Some good, you know what I'm saying?
Wait, hold on, Herm. Hold on. Wait. I hate to do this. Now let me put us all here. Check this out. Is it what social media put in your face, or the algorithm is perpetuating what you're looking for? Because the thing is that we do this to ourselves. And I don't think individuals understand how that truly works. We do this. The phone does not put things in your face that you do not talk about, or that you don't look for, or something. Even if you don't like it, you're giving it attention. And right now, I truly do believe, and I could be wrong, attention is the new currency.
It's a little bit forward. It's a little bit of both, because you know what I'm saying. Yeah, the algorithm does go off of what you spend most of your time looking at.
Yeah,
right. But you know what I'm saying. Sometimes but sometimes it just fishes for you. And after it gets you hooked, you know what I mean? Like your mind gets attached to that. You get what I'm saying? But if it wasn't for social media, you would never know nothing about that kind of crap. You know what I mean? So again, when it comes to the gender war stuff, you know what I'm saying? I think that most of it has been perpetuated through social media.
Well, yeah, because that's the mode. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like before, it's like propaganda. Before, when we didn't have that, we had newspapers. You know what I'm saying? After that, we have regular TV. Now we got the TV and everything 24-hour cable on our phones. You dig what I'm saying? It's just a mode. It's not necessarily, in my opinion, social media. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, Angel. I'm sorry.
I think it's social media and the culture, right? Because social media, yes, it's addictive. It creates, you can create your own echo chamber where you're being fed things by an algorithm that is just for you, that you agree with. But also the things that are being passed along, the things that are being shared, there's a level of toxicity in the culture with how we talk about each other, how we think about each other, like out loud. And I'm just gonna bring this back to the men and women thing. When a guy on social media is recorded, something's posted, and they're doing something nice, sweet, kind for a woman, they're a simp. That's a whole thing. Like kindness from men. But no, but I'm just forget the.
No, I get what you're saying. Go ahead.
This kindness from men toward women is simping, and that's a bad thing because you don't simp. You're not supposed to hold the door open. You're not supposed to buy those flowers. I mean, push her through the door. That's what it's giving. Tripper.
Hey, you know what? I get you, and it's so ridiculous out there. Well, first of all, I want to say shout out to our viewers. All right, so we got Miss Tate. She says social media is killing Black America. We look for instant gratification outside of ourselves, unrealistic expectations. Very true. So even to your point, I think right now we need to be able to look at something like me and Herm. We saw something the other day. Is this real? Maybe the post wasn't real, but does it apply? You get what I'm saying? Right. Have we seen this in real life? For example, the young men that try to holler at a young lady, she's supposedly thick and very beautiful, and then she don't want nothing to do with him until you say, you know what, that's okay. Then he walked to a damn Lamborghini.
Yeah,
right.
And all of a sudden she wants parts.
Watch this. Who's recording this? Come on now.
Yeah, man, you know it's faked in the mug, man.
You know what I mean? So, but I believe that now, since we have 5 minutes, now, since we have 5 minutes, we're going to touch on how social media has been a way of not just entertaining, but educating. Not saying the education is right now, or not all education is right. I can agree to that. But what is it doing?
What about informing?
Look, what I mean, no matter what, however you're getting the information, call it what you want to. I'm not going to split hairs over over the semantics of the vernacular. But I will say it's important to know what you're listening to and what is it causing you to do. Case in point, you have individuals like Kevin Samuels. What has he done to the community? Has he threatened, made the community worse? Or does he bring people together to say, you know what, you're not like that. You know what, I'm not like that either. Cool, let's go on about our business. See? Or has it created, and by the way, he's long gone. He's like a Tupac in the airways, right? He's long gone, but it's still something resonating with those conversations. How is it? Did that work? How did that work happen?
I just think a level of exposed toxicity. I don't have good things to say about, I mean, even the approach, right? I don't want to make this about Kevin Samuels, but Jay, I'm gonna let you.
There we go. Come on. Let's do it.
You got it.
5 minutes. Look.
This question was just for you.
No. It's for everybody, especially people that's listening, because it's going to be a part 2. I do believe that, but it's important that we had this transparent conversation.
I think if we tap into Kevin Samuels, if we tap into what he's done to the community and the ideation of high value men or high value women, I think the first part is that who is the one who assigns the value?
Okay.
Right. And then second part, thinking about is the value required? Is the value assigned to a woman requiring subjugation of the woman?
Pause. Quick question. Herm, could you repeat what you said? Who sets the value?
You do. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if you were a man making over a certain amount of money, you know what I'm saying? You're going to set the standard for what you want to date. You know what I'm saying? Just like women, you set the standard for who you want to date.
All right, go ahead.
Why is that
Go
hard
ahead,
to hear? I mean,
no, go ahead, Jay. No, it's a perspective.
No, I mean, so
Oh, go ahead.
what's the? Would I say something wrong?
Jay, we can't be jammed up like this. We got to
No,
get out of
no,
here.
What's happening? You know what I mean?
No, this is beautiful. If you think about it,
I think that everybody sets the value. I think that
That's what I said.
the bar
That's
for
what he's
dating
saying.
is in hell.
That's what he's saying. He's saying
That's
both.
what I said. This
See?
is how you know women don't listen, man. That's exactly what I just said.
That's not what you said. I can repeat back what you said, and it wasn't.
I said you. I said you said that's the value. I said you.
So
You, everybody.
Everybody. That's what he's
I
saying.
think that we just generally, when it comes to setting value and deciding what's important and what's not important to us in the dating space and who we're trying to connect with, I think it's just it's key to going back to something I said earlier, radical compassion. I think with the Kevin Samuels thing, it was entertaining, right? People were taken aback by the shock and the ridiculousness of the conversation. But I think that in those calls there was a lot of pain and there was a lot of there was a lot of hurt. Like behind the comedy, when you start peeling back the layers, people are wanting connection, and when there are barriers which society deems which deems a person disqualified by society, right? I think that it can be really hard, right? And I think Black folks, and again, perspective of a Black woman who dates Black men, I think Black folks really have to do a little more work with understanding that piece.
So you know what,
and that might not be there for other people, right? But that's because we're so uniquely positioned in society, I think we do have a few more layers. We do have to dig a little bit deeper to have compassion and understand each other. So on the episode you all did a couple years ago on the women, and y'all were talking about multiple baby daddies and multiple kids and all that stuff, you know, the low hanging fruit of it all. If does that permanently disqualify a person, right? So if I got 3 kids and maybe I got multiple, or maybe I don't, I just got 3 kids, and my 3 kids are 9, 12, and 14, right? Maybe I didn't have the right idea
3
a while
times.
ago.
3 times.
Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. Maybe
Wait,
I didn't. Maybe 3 times.
To do that. I'm sorry.
Maybe 3 times I didn't have the right idea.
I definitely would.
Wait a minute, but maybe 3 times I didn't have the right idea. But my youngest kid, say he's like 9, whatever. What if I have changed? What if I have improved drastically? I don't think a person's past missteps should be permanently disqualifying. And I think that if we're not careful, the way we're having these conversations can lead a person to believe that. 11 years ago, I told a man that his mama left him because he was whack. Now, that was 11 years ago.
But you wouldn't say that today. But you probably still think that, right?
But see, the thing
is, and I wouldn't even think to say it. Right?
Okay.
I wouldn't even think to say it. And back then, my goal wasn't to. Never mind. I was getting ready to lie.
Hold on. Let's move it. Go ahead.
The thing about the kids, right? Should it permanently disqualify you, man? There's great people with kids. You know what I mean? But the thing is, a lot of times what they were responding to is a man with no kids who make a certain amount of money. You know what I mean? Why, if they're looking for a mate, why would they go for the woman that has 3 kids? If they want, especially if they want kids of their own.
And that's it.
And that made women up. Why is it that we down talk or we lower the value of a woman with 3 children, but we don't do the same for the man who
that's up to the woman to do.
Hold on.
That's up to the woman to do.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on. We ain't even gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that because we have and he has. But I think that because
Samuels have,
he has, because it's been so many women on, and he shows it you know, those things has been echoed. Those other conversations that he has with those whack men, those brothers that have 3 baby mothers at his mama house, that's 5'6", damn near 300 pounds, and he say he wants a woman that's getting six figures. That's delusional. But hold on, hold on. Let me go into the to our viewers real quick. Shout out to my sister. She's in the space too, y'all, with in the mental health. So she says, just because we are inundated with information from social media, news, influencers, etc. People have to have, be critical and independent thinkers to filter out the balagna. Okay, baloney. Then she also says that those women calling Kevin Samuels wanted validation from him. I would never. We have to learn self-validation. Absolutely. But go ahead, Miss Jay. You were saying something. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You got to stop. I'm over 40. You got to stop cutting me off, man.
Jay, well, can I hijack it?
I want to keep it moving. Go ahead.
No, I think if we're going back to the whole concept of the man versus woman, the value, the devaluation, the delusions in partnering, right? I think that there's a huge discourse right now on men not dating their contemporaries. We can point to Shannon Sharp. We can point to Bill Belichick. Why are they dating these women that are so much younger? They have so much less life experience in them. Why is it that men typically desire or are told to pursue a woman that is so much younger than them, with this less life experience, with less knowledge, but then wonder why I can't get this woman to do this thing, or we can't communicate across the spectrum? Why is it that men, and I will even say there are some women, so I won't say all men and I won't say all women, but why is there almost an epidemic of people who are refusing to date their contemporaries?
Yeah, it's because like what Tracy Ross Ellis said, right? Why she dates young men.
She dates young men because she wants them to be long and strong. Okay.
No, she said, well, that could be the same thing for men.
But she's not dating somebody that's 19 and over 50.
I don't know. I don't know. But what she said was that men come with a bunch of toxic masculinity, you know what I'm saying, at that age. Well, I mean, men would think the same thing about women at that age, that they're set in their ways, you know what I'm saying, and come with their own emotional, crazy baggage. Why would it be okay for Tracy to say that, but men can't say the same thing when we talk about dating younger people?
But there's a difference between saying, oh, I'm 50 and I want to date someone who's 40 or 35 versus the man that's 55 dating a woman that still has the word teen in her age.
Wait, look at Madonna. Okay, look, there's other women that have done this. There's other women that have done this because they
know what the common factor between them two women is.
No, there's other women outside of that. And so that's what I want to make sure. Right, and look, I want to get outside of that because I don't think that's the issue. The thing is that I think individuals understand what they want and what they like by having conversations with individuals that is nowhere on their radar. I want you to really think about it. Even Angel, as a matter of fact, do you have the emotional and mental capacity to deal with a man that is staying at his mama's house? He has I'm talking to Angel right now, has 3 baby daddies, still looking for his job. You know what? He might want to be a damn rapper. You understand? But you know what? He looks nice and he likes you. How much time? No, what type of time do you give him? Do you understand this is a person to have a good time with and not a long time? And based off of everything that you've been through in life, is this a person that you will consider yourself building with?
I just don't think you have to like everybody who likes you.
Okay.
And so I would say for me right now today, no. However,
okay.
The point that I was making earlier was men have a way of being able to buy themselves out of disqualification in a way that women don't. And I think that in the dating space, men generally tend to be, in society in general, right, tends to be less forgiving of women. So that man, let's fast forward 10 years, right? He still had this period of time. He lived in his mama's basement for a long time. He got 3 kids, 3 baby mamas. Can't nobody read. He just learned how to read 5 minutes ago. But once that man let him get a little bit of money, all of a sudden he's qualified now. He's no longer disqualified. Women, I think, are seen differently, but a woman in the same scenario, right? She is loose. She don't care about what, and it doesn't matter
I
that
need the mic when you
since
get
she
off.
had
about to
3
get
of
it.
these
You got it.
kids with
Hold
these
on.
3 different baby daddies
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, and
Mhm.
now she is independent, making her own money and all of the things, that decision she made a long time ago with these 3 kids is still gonna haunt her in a way that it doesn't. I don't think it haunts men in the same way. Men can buy
Yeah.
themselves
Yeah,
out of
it do.
disqualification.
It haunts. Go ahead, Jay.
I will say that there is an adage, a proverb, if you will, that women are raised, but men are coddled, or men are loved as they're raised. Women are just raised to run a household, to take over, to be responsible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There is no circumstance in which a woman can be in her mother's basement with her children and be eligible to date a partner who is anything other than that.
Or
Right?
hold on, Jay, or even be considered a good mother.
Or be considered a good mother, because why is she not providing? Why is she not caring for her children? Why does she not have her own?
That's right.
But at the same time, where's the accountability for the person who also made those children? Right? And it's a whole, oh, she trapped me with these babies. I told her I didn't want them. Hey, homie, listen. You could have got a vasectomy. You could have worn a condom.
Could have.
Right?
You're absolutely right. So now going back to your point, and where we actually started was what we all agreed to, that level of delusion. Let's
Absolutely.
be real.
And
So that goes both ways, regardless of the type of potential that they got 5-10 years later. You get what I'm saying? But we're talking about right now. I don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it all out of. However, I'm expecting this
men are allowed to have
six-figure person to take care of me and to make sure that my dreams and aspirations are fulfilled. Even though I have all this baggage and trauma behind me, I'm not genderizing this person right here, but my expectation is for someone that's in a place to come and save me, come take care of me. That is a level of delusion that I believe social media has done across
having the same concept. So I'm a voracious reader, right? I read probably between 2 and 250 books a year, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Jay can read out loud. Mm-hmm. Jay enjoys reading out loud, so we'll put that out. And one of the genres that I thoroughly enjoy is urban literature and urban fiction. Mm-hmm. And one of the running taglines is either A, the doughboy who has done ABC and is in the drug game, or is the woman who has been saddled with this baby daddy who's still living in his mother's basement and is not taking care of what he needs to take care of. Mm-hmm. Bringing that up to say, it is accepted, if not fully understood, in the Black and brown communities, but specifically the Black community, because that is my experience, that men are allowed to wallow in nothingness.
Oh, that's crazy.
They are allowed to wallow.
Hey, not in my household. But
in a way that women are.
Not speaking for everyone. Not all. So let me put this out.
Hold on, y'all. Hey, y'all. Because I gotta get. It was a good time talking. I gotta get ready to roll though. You know.
I know you do.
But I definitely wanted to get in that.
What you think, man?
Good. Man, I was about to school them, man, but I got to roll. You know what I mean? Y'all got lucky. Y'all lucky, but I got to go. Hey, it's a pleasure talking with y'all. I know Seth
here,
y'all. Wrap it up with y'all.
Yeah, we getting ready to wrap it up.
I look forward to the next talk. All right,
I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. All right, y'all. So here we are. Goodness gracious. All right. A lot. First of all, let us know if you enjoy this conversation. If y'all think this needs to be a part 2, I think there's so many levels that we can go into. And ladies, I want to thank you all for being on. Thank you. And what I would like to do, because we've already passed our time, and I told you it's going to go quick. Miss Angel, final word. You got anything that you want to leave our audience with? A last word based off of the conversation that we've had. The floor is yours, ma'am.
We just need self-reflection, some healing, and radical compassion for each other.
Okay. All right, got it. Miss J, what you got, ma'am?
Accountability is key, and that is not only to your partner, to your children, 360-degree accountability, to your community, to your partner, to your children, to your family. Accountability is key, and being willing to understand that just because you had an intent to do something does not equate to the impact.
That's right. Yes, impact, intent, and all that is very, very real. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for being on. And hopefully you got something from this conversation. Hopefully you can see the level of the overall intent, utilizing that vernacular again, understanding each other, and be able to, well, I guess we can say in order to understand each other, we have to be able to hear each other, understanding where things coming from. Is it coming from a level of trauma, or is it coming from a level of healed or healing, right? Because it is a journey. So what I challenge everyone to do going into this next week, have conversations to understand, not necessarily to be right. Right on. We'll see y'all pretty soon, and y'all take care of each other. Let's get it.